Hey Joe, how are you?
Sherry, I am great. How are you doing?
I am doing well. And who would have thought a bird watcher in a park in New York City would bring us together across borders?
Yeah, no, it's we've talked about this before, but one of the great parts about volunteering at the SOA or anywhere else is that you end up meeting actuaries you wouldn't otherwise meet, and you learn things from them, and you share experiences, and hopefully the volunteer work creates some good value for the membership.
Absolutely. Volunteering and Zoom, right? Because that's what brought us together. I haven't met you in person ever before.
Yeah, yeah, no, you know what's funny? I guess I haven't thought about that. It was also a pandemic, but I do miss meeting people in person, but I've gone from a world of phone to Zoom, and I find that on Zoom you feel like you're almost in the same room.
Yeah. But you don't ever know how tall people are, right? Because you meet
No,
people and you're like, oh, I didn't realize you're so tall.
no, fair point.
Yeah, but being across borders, I'm very curious of your thoughts on how the SOA can strengthen member and candidate engagement, specifically in Canada. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what? I think that, the first answer is I don't necessarily know that I have the answer. I know Ben Marshall, he's a Canadian. He's here on the ground in Canada working for the SOA, uh, attending a lot of events and connecting with people and really trying to help with that engagement. And I personally, obviously, he's my friend, but I think he's doing a great job. But what I would say, in fairness, you told me the question before you called. Um, to me, the question is, what does the SOA want to be? When I wrote my exams, the SOA was the only answer. You needed to go to the SOA, you needed to write your exams, you became a fellow of the Society of Actuaries. And then after that, if you wanted to practice in Canada, you became a fellow of the Canadian Institute of Actuaries. And I think what's happening now is that there's kind of a splitting between the Canadian Institute of Actuaries and the SOA, and almost like you could just choose one instead of choosing both.
Mhm.
And I think that what we need to figure out is what's the SOA's role in Canada? What's the CIA's role in Canada? How do we partner together so that we, share ownership of the success of the actuarial profession in Canada?
Yeah. And I think, the key of what you're saying really is partner, right? That SOA partners with those around the world, including those in Canada.
Yeah, and I would, if you want to expand globally, like, I've had this vision for 30 years. Some of my friends that were a few years older than me, were the ones that probably helped me see this world. But, I always thought that it would be good if every actuary around the world was a member of the Society of Actuaries, either at the ASA or FSA level, and maybe even below ASA, as you've started to see the society started to create micro credentials.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought every actuary around the world ultimately being part of the SOA would be a great vision in terms of building. The SOA is already a powerhouse for research, but just giving it that global breadth of this is where we go for actuarial research, and then almost like handing that off to each local jurisdiction to say, look, we've customized the research, for England or for Canada or for South Africa, but be there present on a research basis, and supporting education so that we just have strong actuaries around the world. That's kind of my broader vision, even beyond Canada.
Yeah. And I think that's a very valid point because, one in six, I believe one in six SOA member is a Canadian, and about 20% is non-US and non-Canadian. So we're definitely talking about, a recognizable chunk of members for the SOA.
Yeah, and I think again that should, well, that should grow if the SOA, again finds a way to partner in the growing jurisdictions. Like Canada is probably more of a stable actuarial population at this point, but some of the other emerging countries that probably need even more support than Canada around examinations and education and research, right? The catch for the SOA is that it's got to be customized jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So in the UK, long before the Canadian Institute of Actuaries existed, they had their own exam system through their university system, etc. Um, I can only imagine in the 1960s when the Canadian Institute of Actuaries was formed, they looked around and said, we could get our education from the UK, where many of our founding members were from, or we could go to the Society of Actuaries in the US and get our education there. They realized they couldn't build their own education system.
Yeah.
And so to me, the SOA has to have a customized solution for every jurisdiction. How much help do you need on education? How much help do you need on research? How much help do you need promoting the brand of actuaries as valuable contributors to the risk management space?
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. I do hope, maybe one day you can cross south of the border and maybe we can even take a walk in Central Park and look at birds.
All right. Well, I look forward to that one day.
All right.
See you.
Thanks, Joe. Talk to
All
you
right,
soon.
bye.